What's up, guys, and welcome back to Adventure Boat. My name is Kelly. Here we are deep in the Montana mountains in the middle of the winter, and it's freezing. My face is actually getting numb, and I'm probably gonna be stuttering all over the place because I can't feel my tongue right now. But it is gonna be a great review. I've got the Benehike wedge style hard shell rooftop tent on the Land Cruiser. I've got the diesel heater that we're gonna test out throughout the night that I've done all the modifications to, as well as an electric blanket, because that's what you do here in Montana in the wintertime. You try to stay warm. Let's get into it. So let's start from the outside and work our way to the inside. Exterior wise, sitting on the truck here, it is a massive tent, and by no means is it light either. Front to back, side to side, it is almost the same dimensions as the roof of the Land Cruiser, which is by no means a small vehicle. Bigger than a 4Runner, smaller than a Sequoia. Now, talking about the construction itself, it's all 80/20 aluminum panels, basically a frame that squishes together and it sits on top of a gasket, which makes sure that the weather doesn't get inside the tent when it's compressed down into the folded down position. Now, the standout feature for me for the exterior of this is twofold. One, it's the locks. Not having to lock them is actually the coolest thing about this tent. On my 23-0 tent, one of the only things that kind of annoys me is you have to lock the latches for them to stay in the latch position. There's no option to leave them unlocked and just leave them latched. This one, actually, you can latch and not have to lock, which is a really nice convenience. If you're in the backcountry, you don't need to lock it for any reason, but you just want to keep it latched just so it doesn't flop around. It's a great option. The second feature that I really like is the low profile rack. It is just barely above the surface of the top of the tent itself, which makes mounting the recovery boards on top very flush and low profile. It's not some bulbous orange thing sticking on top. It really goes with the aesthetics of the build and the tent. It's really nice. If I don't die from doing this review, be sure to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, all that goodness. I put out tons of overlanding content just for you. Mounting the tent itself was quite simple. All the hardware was inside the tent. You just have to open it up, pull all of the instructions and hardware and gizmos and gadgets out of the tent itself, close it back up. But like I said, this tent is heavy. I don't know why it is so heavy, but it is extreme. It's probably the heaviest tent I've ever had to mount. I actually used my tractor, the forklifts on my tractor, to get it up on the truck. It was that heavy. It wasn't my wife and I are going to lift it up there. That's just not even an option with this tent. I'll put the weight right here, but it is big. Once I got the tent up on top of the truck, mounting it was quite simple using 4 rudimentary brackets with screws. I actually got the front 2 screws through the sunroof, which was quite nice. Let me show you what really drew me to this tent. With the Land Cruiser, this is so easy to set up. With the half tailgate, I basically have got a platform to set this up in seconds. It's awesome. Okay, now seriously, how good does this rooftop tent look on the Land Cruiser? This thing is just gorgeous. I love how fast it sets up. It is by far the fastest tent I've ever had that sets up like this. My 23-0 Armadillo, it is super fast, but there's that one extra step of having to fold open the platform of it. I do believe the 23-0 Armadillo X-Frame is a massively better use of space on a vehicle. However, on the Land Cruiser, I really think this works. What do you guys think? Comment below, let me know, because I think it looks pretty rad. Now, this right here is where you're going to lose a lot of your time savings. Having this style tent is going to be the ladder. Now, the ladder does fit inside the tent. You can store it in there. I just chose to store it in the back of the Land Cruiser, basically because I've never even slept a single night in this tent, so I didn't want to get in there just to store it, so I left it in the back of the Land Cruiser. But this is actually pretty easy. All you do is take this Velcro strap off, you hook it onto the hooks here, and just kind of pull it out. Pretty simple. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan for this type of wedge style tent for anything other than an SUV. That being because you really do lose a lot of access to your vehicle with the ladder being right adjacent to the vehicle itself. And actually, when this is to the ground, these ladders actually closer to the truck where I almost touch the paint, which I really don't like doing. The 80's kind of my baby, so you know how that is. Getting up into the tent is quite simple. As long as the snow doesn't give out on me, you just climb up and open the door. Now let's talk about the quality of the tent itself. It is actually a really good quality. My Ironman tent that I reviewed was a very poor quality. Everything felt just cheap. This actually feels very quality. All the aluminum is sturdy. All of the laser cut looks really nice. Even the shock here has a brushed finish to it. The only negative that I've seen as far as the manufacturing process of this is going to be there was aluminum shavings in kind of a lot of the corners of the tent on the exterior, which I'm not a fan of. I really think that the fit and finish should be much more nice, especially at this price point. It is not the cheapest tent you can buy. From the outside looking in, one of the main drawbacks to the wedge style tent that is basically just a solid platform, there's no folding dimension to it. It is very dimensionally small inside because it can only be as large as the outside footprint, which is usually the roof of a vehicle. And even in the case of the Land Cruiser, which is a massive footprint, it is still very narrow inside. This is basically the same size as a two-person backpacking tent. So if my wife and I were in this tent, it would be close quarters. We'd be shoulder to shoulder in this tent. Now, I've got to be honest, there is going to be a lot of give and take with this style tent, such as this issue right here. This is a side entrance. Yes, it is an entrance. You can definitely make this work. However, it is not the main entrance that is the largest entrance where you can roll everything up and tuck it away nicely. I'm having to kind of squeeze into this, not comfortably, every single time I get in and out of this tent. Now, this is not a huge deal. This is completely doable. However, now if it starts to rain, which it won't do because it's so cold, but if it were, I would have to get in this with no real rain protection to speak of. It's all in the back, which is the design of this tent, and just one of the pitfalls of this tent on this setup. Benehike does give you a shoe bag that is removable and slides right in here, which will fit most shoes except these big old Sorels I'm wearing. The awning here is quite large. It sticks out maybe a foot past the back of the truck here, which is a good covering for inclement weather. Like I said, most people will be able to use this big, massive back door, which is the intended door that you're supposed to be using. Now, I am not a large human being. I'm 5'10" and about 190 pounds, and this is definitely a tight fit. My feet are all the way at the bottom, nearly touching the wedge, and my head has about 3 inches, 4 inches to the actual fabric of the end of the tent. So it is a very tight, compact space that you have to use up here on top of the truck. Now, that also is good because here, this very chilly night where it's going to get down to 7 degrees, having a small space to heat up is going to be very efficient for me, which is good. However, long trips overlanding with a second person in here would be a very tight squeeze. Let's talk about some of the inside features. The top of the wedge has this felt material that's very nice. It has a pocket here where you can store your personal items, 6 pretty good sized pockets. There is lighting in here. These are LED lighting strips that go top to bottom, which should be very good lighting come nighttime. More storage pockets here on the side. Looks like 2 large pockets on this side and 2 large pockets on this side. Now the mattress itself feels like 2-inch memory foam, and then there's an anti-condensation mat below that, which will give you another 1/8 inch or so of cushion. Now just sitting on it, it's actually quite comfortable. However, after tonight sleeping on it, when it's super cold in here, I will know if this is worthy of the Adventure Built comfortable seal of approval. I'm losing light quick. It's about 5 o'clock and the sun should be down in the next 15-20 minutes. So I need to get this place set up before I lose all my light. And I still have no idea how I'm going to put this diesel heater up in here. Let's figure it out. It's almost dark and I think I've got this thing dialed in. It's sitting on the ground and I have the heater hose going up and basically just tucked into the corner of the door of the Benehike tent here. And it got warm, like within just minutes of it being on. The hose showed on my little FLIR camera for my phone that it was like 90 degrees going into the tent. So it's going to be really nice and toasty tonight. This is by the fire. I'm going to hang off a little bit. I'll see you guys in the morning. Quick little update of life in the tent. And You know, for a one-person setup, this actually is not bad at all. Especially in the wintertime, it is small enough where I'm not having to heat a lot of extra space. So the heat that I'm using is going a long way. Now, the way I have it set up now is my jacket is in one corner because the hood and shoulders were wet from the snow, so I'm letting that dry out. Got my backpack kind of in the middle, and then my bottle here in the storage, which is a really nice big pocket for big, you know, those big Hydro Flask bottles. They soak up a lot of real estate. I obviously have my head toward the large part of the wedge, and then I have my heater hose kind of hanging down, and I just actually got that going. I've got myself covered up in my heated blanket, and I forget the name of this one. I'll put it in the link description below. This is off of Amazon. It's actually a really good heater. I mean, I am almost too warm with just this blanket on me just to kind of keep everything warmed up until the diesel heater gets everything all warmed up, and that's life in the tent. My wife was watching the video and said I did not cover the electric blanket in enough detail, that she was curious about how it works because she didn't quite understand the concept. So this is the electric blanket. This is by Zonli, and it's actually really cool. This is something that I didn't even know was really out there until my wife talked about things to make it better in the cold. And this, an electric blanket, is definitely going to be better in the cold. So the blanket is a polyester on this side, which would make it quasi waterproof and just kind of dirt resistant. On this side, we have a Sherpa fleece. Look how soft and comfortable this is. So dimensionally, it's quite large. I mean, it goes pretty much, right now it's touching the ground and it's at my chin, and obviously goes over the shoulders. A really good size, will definitely cover you up. Now this is a really cool part. This is a lithium battery pack. It's got USB charging, so you can charge your phone on it. Hit that button there, it tells you it's at 67%, which is really good after running for probably 4 hours in the night and then another couple hours in the morning just to keep the chill off me. Making this thing work is really easy. All you do is plug it into the blanket, press and hold this button. You'll see a green light turn on, and now you know it's on. There's a little pocket the battery pack goes into, and there is a little bit of weight to it, but it's not heavy by any means. You just know exactly where it's at, which is good because that's where the button is at. To turn it on, you press and hold the button, and it turns red. That's all the way hot. This orange color is medium, and then this white color means that it is on low. Very simple to use, very simple to operate. Yeah, this thing is very plush, very comfortable, and at the price point, really hard to beat. Link in the description below, off of Amazon. Be sure to check it out. All right, one last cool feature. This is not just a blanket. It's actually kind of like a poncho. You can hook it around you. There's a clasp here that goes on, and now you have a little poncho. You can actually kind of put this around your arms and hook it in. Great for sitting around the fire when it's cold. This was actually one of the things that my wife saw on Instagram and was all like, isn't it the same blanket you've got? Doesn't it do that? And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess it does. So it's really cool. Back to the video. Well, good morning. The camera can barely make me out, but it is pretty bright in this tent. It is not the darkest tent I've ever been in. It's definitely no 23-0. And also, if you are a side sleeper, this mattress may not be for you. The 2-inch mattress is just not enough thickness for side sleepers. My hips are actually a little sore. I was kind of tossing and turning all night long, just because the pressure points with this mattress just kind of went through. Although it is a very comfortable mattress, so if you are a back sleeper, I would say you'll have no problems at all. Winter camping in the middle of February in Montana was a huge success. It got really cold last night. I want to say it was like 8 or 9 degrees, and I actually very comfortable in the tent. The HCalory diesel heater kept everything nice and toasty. The electric blanket kind of took the chill out of the sleeping bag and just made everything just warm when I was kind of peeling my clothes off to get in the sleeping bag. So very nice, comfortable transition. The Benehike hardshell tent is actually a really good tent. I really enjoy this tent. For a one-person camp setup, it's very fast to set up. It's not a lot of room to heat up, which is great, especially in the wintertime. And it is nice. It's a good quality tent. I will say there are a couple drawbacks. One being the price. It retails currently for $35.99 on their website, and it's on sale for $22.99 currently. I feel like that price should be a little bit lower, especially when you compare a very similar tent like this. 23-0 has for almost the same price. Now, Benehike is a newer company in this realm, and they claim to have a 5-year warranty on their tents. I did some research. I didn't see anyone that had any customer service issues with them, so nothing reported, and which is good news. The only other drawback that I don't like with this tent is actually the name, Benehike, and it's plastered on the side of the tent in bright orange, which I like the orange. I like the contrast with my truck, especially with the Land Cruiser, the color scheme I have with the theme of the truck, but I don't like the name. It's not a good transition to the US market from the Chinese market. So I wish there would be a little, branding change with that. Other than that, it is a really good quality tent. Now, as far as the HCalory diesel heater, kept the tent nice and warm, no problems at all. Barely any diesel was gone. Maybe 3/4 of an inch of diesel out of that whole big tank for one night. And I didn't run it the whole night. I ran it intermittently. When I started to kind of get cold, I would just turn it on, just take that chill out of the air. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. And I'm freezing. I'm getting out of here.